The villagers had always warned them not to go to the lake at night, but curiosity had overcome their fear. Now they were face to face with the secret of the Golden Lake. As they stepped out of the boat, the sand beneath their feet sparkled like gold dust, and all around them, the tall trees swayed gently as if inviting them into a magical realm. Henry was the first to break the silence. "It's beautiful," he whispered, his eyes wide with wonder. But Amelia wasn't listening. She had noticed something strange. The lake they had come to explore had vanished. In its place was a vast expanse of golden sand and a huge tree with leaves of silver. "Henry, look," she said, pointing to the tree. As they approached, they saw that the trunk was covered with symbols that seemed to writhe and twist like living things. Just then, a gentle voice echoed through the clearing. "Welcome, travelers! I have been waiting for you." Startled, Henry and Amelia turned to find the source of the voice. And there in front of them, bathed in the soft blue light of the tree, stood a woman unlike any they had ever seen before. Her skin was the color of polished mahogany, her eyes shone like golden coins, and her hair flowed down her back like a waterfall of molten gold. "Who are you?" Amelia asked, her voice trembling slightly. The woman smiled, and her teeth, a dazzling array of pearls and emeralds, flashed in her mouth. "I am the guardian of this place. For many years, I have watched over the Golden Lake. It is I who bring forth the golden light each evening, and it is I who conceal its waters during the day." Henry, still somewhat intimidated, managed to stammer out a question. "Why? Why do you do this?" The woman's smile widened. "Because this is my home. The lake is my heart. And just as a heart beats, so too does my home, revealing its beauty to those who seek it out." She gestured for them to follow her deeper into the forest. As they walked, the golden light of the setting sun filtered through the leaves overhead, creating a path of shimmering gold on the ground. Soon, they arrived at a clearing where a magnificent palace awaited them. Its walls were crafted from the same luminous glass that adorned the walls of the lake chamber, and delicate vines adorned with sparkling crystals crawled up its towers. The woman turned to them, her eyes twinkling. "This is where I live. Come, I will show you the wonders of the Golden Palace." Inside, the palace shimmered and sparkled. Crystal chandeliers hung from the ceilings, casting rainbows across the polished marble floors. Walls were adorned with murals depicting scenes of nature's beauty, and delicate crystal vines wove their way through the palace, their leaves rustling softly in the gentle breeze. Amelia and Henry sat on a nearby sofa, mesmerized by the surroundings. "How can such magic exist?" Amelia whispered, still in awe. "There are countless wonders hidden within this palace," the woman replied, her voice echoing softly. "Would you like to see them?" Before either could answer, the woman waved her hand and the room began to spin. When it stopped, they found themselves in a lush garden filled with exotic plants and flowers they had never seen before. The air was sweet with the scent of 1,000 blooms, and butterflies with wings like stained glass danced among them. As the sun dipped below the horizon, the sky blazed with colors they had never witnessed. Scarlet, gold, and violet streaked across the heavens, painting a masterpiece of light and color. Then, as if on cue, the clouds parted, revealing a blanket of stars that glittered like diamonds scattered across velvet. "It's beautiful," whispered Henry, completely captivated. The woman smiled, her eyes twinkling with amusement. "Not yet. The grand finale is still to come." With a flourish, she gestured towards the lake once more. There, instead of the placid water they had seen earlier, lay a vast expanse of gold, stretching out before them like a sea of molten metal. The surface shimmered and flowed, and tiny golden ripples danced and swayed in the gentle breeze. For a moment, no one spoke. Amelia and Henry stood mesmerized, their eyes fixed on the spectacle before them. Finally, Amelia found her voice. "But how is this possible? How can the lake turn to gold?" The woman chuckled, her voice echoing with mirth. "Ah, that is the secret of the Golden Lake. Each evening as the sun sets, my heart, which lies at the heart of the lake, beats with the rhythm of the world. And in that rhythm, you heard it, did you not? The heartbeat of the earth echoes in the rustling of leaves, the gushing of waterfalls, the crashing of waves. If you listen closely, you too can hear it." And so, as the night deepened and the stars twinkled above, the three of them sat by the Golden Lake, united in the magic of the moment and the heartbeat of the world. The wind whipped Amelia's hair across her face as she and Henry raced across the lake. She gripped the oars, her knuckles white against the polished wood. But even as her arms burned with exertion, Amelia couldn't bring herself to hate this. It was exhilarating. Behind them, the castle loomed, dark and brooding. Its silhouette was that of a snarling wolf, its windows like gleaming eyes. Beside her, Henry's face was pale in the moonlight, his jaw set with grim determination. In the other boat were two men who looked back at them, their faces twisted in cruel smiles. One held aloft a sword, its tip glinting dangerously in the moonlight. They had been racing since sunset, ever since they had fled the kingdom in terror of their lives. Henry's father, the king, had gone mad with grief over his wife's death and had declared that he would marry again, by force if necessary. His bride-to-be, a scheming noblewoman, had taken a shine to Henry too, and he had been forced to escape, taking Amelia with him. "We won't outrun them," Henry said suddenly, his voice tight. "There's only one way out." His words were cut off by the splash of oars in the water as the two boats drew level with them. The man holding the sword leaned over the edge of his boat and yelled, "Give up, Henry! It's pointless to resist. You can't escape your father's grasp forever." He sneered. "Besides, we have someone else to thank for that." He gestured to Amelia with his sword. "She's the one who has betrayed you, Prince Henry, not us." Henry whirled around to look at her. His eyes were wide with shock. Amelia shook her head frantically, wanting to tell him it wasn't true, that she would never betray him. But before she could speak, Henry had turned back to the men. His face was hard, his voice cold. "Leave me and her be. You may have won the race, but you will not win the war." With that, he dipped his oars into the water and pulled away from the others, speeding towards the center of the lake. Amelia wanted to shout after him, to make him listen to reason, but her throat was hoarse. All she could do was watch as he disappeared into the mist, his small boat becoming a speck on the darkening waters. And as quickly as he'd left, the two boats were upon them, their mocking laughter echoing across the still water. And then Amelia did something reckless. As they loomed closer, she threw herself into the lake. The water closed over her head, stealing her breath. Panic seized her. Had she been foolish? Would this be the end? Then a strong arm reached out and grabbed hers, pulling her onto a boat. When she surfaced, gasping for breath, she saw the cruel grin on the face of the man who had rescued her. Another man leaned close to her, his voice low and dangerous. "You came alone, little bird," he purred. "Where is the prince?" Amelia shook her head, tears streaming down her face. "I don't know," she whispered. "He was here a moment ago." She looked back at the spot where she had been sitting, but the boat was empty. The men exchanged glances. "Looks like we got played," one of them said, his voice laced with annoyance. "By the looks of this," the other said, nodding toward the lake, "that boat's not going to get him far. We'll find him soon enough." They shoved off from the shore and headed toward the center of the lake. Meanwhile, Henry's boat was drifting aimlessly on the water, tossed about by the wind. Henry sat huddled in the corner, his head in his hands. When he looked up, he saw the dark water lapping at the sides of the boat, mirroring his own despair. What was he to do? He thought of Amelia, of how he had treated her so shabbily, of how he had never realized how he really felt about her until it was too late. The realization hit him like a physical blow. He loved her. God, how he loved her. And then he saw it in the distance, a faint glow on the horizon. Hope surged through him. Perhaps there was a chance for him yet. With renewed determination, he dipped his oars in the water and began to row toward the light. The glow grew brighter as he approached, and soon he could see that it emanated from a small cottage on the far side of the lake. Relief flooded through him. Perhaps he could find shelter here, perhaps even help from those who lived there. As he pulled himself and his boat onto the pebbled shore, however, a sense of foreboding washed over him. For as he stumbled toward the cottage, he saw the words carved into the stone above the door. "Beware, mortals! Trespassers not welcome here." Startled by the words and unsure if he should go inside or not, he hesitated. Suddenly the door creaked open, and a woman stood framed in the opening. Her eyes, sharp as shards of ice, seemed to pierce him, reading his every thought. "Who are you?" she asked, her voice like the tinkling of a mountain stream. "I am Henry," he stammered, surprised by his own boldness. "Prince Henry, son of the king." The woman's eyebrows rose in surprise. "Ah, so you are the one they sent to steal the crown." Henry frowned. "Steal? I don't understand." The woman stepped aside, motioning for him to enter. "Come inside, Prince Henry," she said, "and I will explain." As he followed her into the cottage, Henry stole a glance back at the door. It had vanished, as though it had never been there at all. He found himself in a large, dimly lit room. In the center, a fire crackled merrily in the hearth, casting dancing shadows on the walls. As he watched, mesmerized by the flames, he heard the woman speak. "Do not misunderstand, Prince Henry," she said, her voice echoing in the cavernous space. "It is not the crown you seek that is hidden here, but yourself." She raised her head, her eyes gleaming with an inner light. "You have come to the fairy lake, child, to find a crown of gold. But what you will find instead is yourself." Henry looked at her, confused. "What do you mean?" The woman moved closer to the fire, her face disappearing into the shadows. "You seek power, Prince Henry, power to protect those you love, to defy your father's wishes, and to shape your own destiny." She paused, her voice dropping to a whisper. "But power comes at a price." As the woman spoke, the room began to change. The walls shimmered, revealing a glimpse of something vast and terrible lurking just beyond sight. Fear pricked at Henry's skin. This place was powerful, dangerous. He wanted to run, to escape back to the safety of his own world, but his feet were rooted to the spot. The woman continued, her voice weaving a spell that bound him to the room. "Here at the fairy lake, wishes are granted and destinies are shaped. But beware, mortal, for magic is a fickle mistress and her gifts are not easily won." She stepped closer, her eyes boring into his. "Are you sure you are ready to face what lies within yourself, Prince Henry? Are you sure you wish to become king?" Henry stared back, his heart pounding in his chest. Was he ready to become king? To take on the responsibility of ruling an entire kingdom? To face the darkness that lurked within himself? As he looked into the depths of the woman's eyes, he saw his own reflection staring back at him. He saw the fear, the doubt, the determination, and most of all, the love for Amelia. With a newfound clarity, Henry knew what he had to do. He took a deep breath, squared his shoulders, and met the woman's gaze. "I am ready," he said, his voice echoing with newfound strength. "Show me what I must face." As the words left his lips, the room shimmered once more, and the walls shifted, revealing a passage leading deeper into the heart of the cottage. Henry didn't hesitate. He stepped forward and walked into the unknown, his heart pounding with a mixture of fear and excitement. Whatever lay ahead, he knew that he was ready to face it, not just for Amelia, but for himself.